And good morning. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I am Glenn Clark. He's Griffin. A lot to do. Not a whole lot of time to do it because they kick us off the air around 11:40 on Tuesday mornings. They say, get the F out! Because there's a whole other show. It's called Simple the Bets. And I got to do that then. Seems aggressive, but that's the way it goes. Simple the Bets. We do it every Tuesday morning at 11:40 a.m. It's brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, which is, of course, the best place for you to watch and bet everything. All of the big games. Every bet, every football Sunday would improve if you spent it in the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. It's just as simple as that. Whatever you're doing, I'm sure it's lovely. You get together, you go to Dan's house, you watch the games over there. His wife and his whiny brat kids, they're running around. Hey, but they're sweet enough, right? They don't make you feel too awkward about the fact that you're taking up their basement. It's fine. Stop it. Go to the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Reserve your spot by emailing events at sportssocialmd.com and win money while you're there. Very simple. Coming up in a bit, Michael Pierce will join us. He had a huge game in his first game back with the Baltimore Ravens. A little bit later on in the program, Roman Hemby, Harford County's own Private John Carroll, running back for the Maryland Terrapins. Been off to a great start this season. We will catch up with him. They get a big one against SMU coming up on Saturday night. And then also later on in the program, we'll preview Waiver Wire Wednesday. Who should you be targeting? What's real? Devin Duvernay? Are you picking up Devin Duvernay? Really? Are you using your waiver priority in order to get him?
Maybe you should get Greg Dortch.
Whatever that is.
From the Arizona Cardinals.
Sure.
I think he was. I think he led the team in targets.
I don't know what that is.
Hollywood Brown not. I don't know. He might not be the number one receiver on that team.
We don't overreact to anything. Maybe we calm down.
Well, that's the point. That's the point of week one.
We will talk about it with our guy Joe Serpico a little bit later on. All that coming up on the program today. Orioles get back in action tonight as they begin a 2-game set with the Nationals down in D.C. and we could call it their last stand. We can say whatever you want to say. It's over. Like, it's over. Everybody left. Everybody went home. It's done. They had a hell of a run. It was a lot of fun, but it's done. They'll go play the games anyway the rest of the year, but that's done skis. The Monday Night Football game, bizarro world. I mean, just utterly bizarro world. I have seen a lot of things in my life. I'm not sure that I have ever seen anything quite like a head coach deciding that the best scenario for his team. Let me make this clear. The Ravens have Justin Tucker. If there had been a minute on the clock and they were faced with 4th and 5 in Detroit last season, they sure as effing F would not have lined up for Justin Tucker to try that kick. And I get it. You can compare it to, say, when they were in Detroit earlier. They tried a 61-yarder once upon a time on a Monday night, and maybe this is a bit more similar to that. I don't remember what they were faced with yardage-wise. I couldn't tell you what it was. But 61 yards, as long as it was, did seem within reason. The kick they tried last year was not within reason. Miraculously, it ended up working out anyway. The kick that the Broncos tried last night was not within reason. Brandon McManus has never made a 60-yard field goal in his life. It's insane. It's utterly insane. And then Nathaniel Hackett calling his timeouts afterwards like the Seahawks were going to fumble the snap or something. I mean, it's just the height of I don't know what I'm doing.
Did you see Peyton on the Peyton cast, on the Manning cast?
I did not watch the Manning. I never have.
The entire 40 seconds while the play clock was, he was like, I'd use a timeout right here. Right now. Right here would be a good timeout.
I mean, there's two ways of looking at it. If you had decided ahead of time that there was a certain yardage marker within which you would go for a field goal, then you send your kicker out immediately to try to hold on to all 3 timeouts to give you one last gasp to try to get the ball back. They run the ball 3 times. You try to stop them all 3 times, and you get one more miraculous shot at getting the ball back with like 28 seconds left, which is fine. Actually, probably been more if they had run the kicker out within about 15 seconds. The kick would have been tried
at like 40 seconds left.
Yeah, it would have been, then you've got to run 3 to 4 seconds off for every play. Like you would have gotten about 25 to 30 seconds left with the football. Which
and you got Russell Wilson as your quarterback. So,
well, do you though? Do you? I'm not sure. I mean, complete.
Yeah, maybe he forgot.
Complete insanity. I've seen a lot of things. It reeks of I don't know what I'm doing. And I get it. This is someone's first ever game as an NFL head coach. I also understand that it is easier for us to say things when we have no skin in the game. We're not dealing with all of the intensity and the enormity of what's happening in that moment. But that doesn't forgive anything. My God, if I was doing radio in Denver today. My God, if I was hosting the Denver Game Day Uncensored postgame show on whatever the fan is in Denver. My God. I mean, could you imagine? To say it's a fireable offense, I mean, they're not going to, but it is. It is a fireable offense to be this incompetent in terms of understanding late game scenarios. And what he'll probably say is, dude, we see Brandon knock the ball through from 64 yards out in practice all the time. I'm sure you do, Chief. I'm sure you do. You cannot replicate the efforts of another team trying to block the ball, how low you have to get the trajectory in order to get it to 64 yards versus what they're going to try to do. It makes it nearly impossible. I get it. Justin Tucker did it by the skin of his teeth. And I mean this with all due respect, and I said this then, by pure luck. I still, in hindsight, despite the fact that it worked, don't know that it was a better decision than throwing a Hail Mary last year. It just so happened to be that by a centimeter, it worked. This was 4th and 5 with a minute left. And you have Russell Wilson, who you apparently still think can play. Although, boy, there was a lot of checking down last night. Like, I get it. One of the things Reed and I talked about a lot last year was that one of our frustrations with Lamar Jackson was that he wasn't checking down when he was being faced with the cover zero and sort of the all-out blitz looks because the checkdowns were there. All Russell Wilson wanted to do last night was check down. It was a very strange game the way it played out. Also, of course, the Broncos fumbling the ball twice at the 1 yard line.
Oh, my God. That was...
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's unbelievable how that game played out, particularly if you're someone who, say, bet on the Broncos or, maybe had them in a survivor pool.
You left me up to the lose ball picks this week. We went 4-2.
Okay.
I had the Broncos.
I
had the Broncos.
By the way,
and
when you say this week, all season long.
Okay.
Please don't tell Stan. I was basically forced into this thing. I love him. I'm happy. We're happy to.
I'm trying to think what the other one.
You'll be doing this.
Okay.
You'll be doing this.
I can't remember.
Do better.
All right.
Okay. Do better.
You don't want to help at all?
No.
Okay.
I'm giving Stan $100 because I don't want to talk about it. It's fine.
We
it's fine.
got the Texans. You want to know what we won?
Stan. No, I don't care.
Okay.
I love Stan. I do. I love Stan. He's doing this. It's too much. If it was just a simple picks contest, like
it's
maybe
a good idea. I like it.
It's
As my first year,
so involved, and I just don't have the bandwidth.
For my first year, it seems kind of cool.
I'm sure it does. I have a lot of things I got to do during the course of the week. It's just too much for me. And again, I love Stan. I love him. I know it's a game that he's been running for a long time, and he has a lot of fun with it. And the people that play it, I'm not trying to knock it. It's just the bandwidth for me during the fall season, considering I work 4 different jobs at 4 different places, and I got to be a dad. It's just a bit too much. And, I do have 3 fantasy football leagues as well. By the way, I went 0-3 this week. Dynamite. Well, I'd say that.
I went 0-2. I have 2.
I didn't bother to check. There's one that Ken runs, and I didn't actually bother to check that one. I know that I lost to Rita for the first time ever playing fantasy football.
She destroyed you.
She did. She kicked my ass. I decided to coerce her into playing because our buddy Ryan Ripken wanted to start a media league. And I was like, Rita, come on. This will be fun. She had Mahomes, Jonathan Taylor. Oh, by the way, reminder.
That's probably all she needed.
Reminder to Rita. This is a true story. I assumed that Jonathan Taylor, I had the 3rd pick. She had the 4th. Like an idiot. I just assumed ahead of time that I was taking Austin Eckler with the 3rd pick. By the way, I got some concerns there. I decided I was going to take Austin Eckler with the 3rd pick. First 2 picks go off the board. I don't even bother to look to see who they are. And so I take Austin Eckler.
So JT.
Jonathan Taylor was sitting on the board with the 3rd pick. Our buddy
This is the media league?
Our buddy Adam Pohl, who of course is the play-by-play guy for the Bay Sox, did a wacky bit where he took Justin Jefferson number 1 overall. Now
might pan out.
100%. Like when we look at it, we're like, hey, maybe not so crazy. And I don't know because it was Adrian, who's the PA announcer for the Orioles. She had the number 2 pick, so maybe she thought the same way I did. Just assumed Jonathan Taylor was going to be gone at number 1.
She took Cup?
No, she took McCaffrey.
Oh, okay.
I think at number 2, and then me, I wasn't paying attention at all, so I had predetermined that it was going to be Taylor McCaffrey. So I had decided I was going to take Eckler with the 3rd pick before the draft had even started. Like an idiot. So I went ahead and hit the button on Eckler, and then all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what the F? So Rita had the 4th pick, and Rita's never drafted before. I mean this. Rita has never participated in fantasy football before. So Rita's got the 4th pick, and she can't figure out how the app works in order to draft.
So just auto-drafted.
No. So like the clock's about to expire, and Ryan, who's the commissioner of our league, our buddy Ryan Ripken, pauses the draft and says, hey, Glenn, is Rita there? Like, because we did this after the Tyus Bowser show last Tuesday. We had planned it around. We asked them to do a later draft so that we could do the Bowser show, and then we could do the draft. And so Ryan pauses the draft and is like, hey, man, what's going on? Where's Rita? And I was like, I don't know. First of all, I had already paid for Rita's fees to get in. Because this is how much she didn't want to do. She didn't want to do. By the way, she keeps winning. She's gonna pay me back. She didn't want to do the league, but I said, all right, I'll front you the money, no problem. And I made sure. We talked on Tuesday night. I was like, hey, you know what you're doing at 10 o'clock? And she's like, absolutely, no problem. And I swear to God, I message her and I say, what's going on? She's like, well, I'm in the draft. And I'm like, well, make a pick. And she doesn't respond. So I finally just say to Ryan in the group chat, I say, dude, just give her Jonathan Taylor. Not knowing I had to play her week 1. Damn it. She was pissed. She didn't want Jonathan Taylor.
Who did she want?
I don't know, because Rita doesn't understand fantasy football. Rita wanted
she wanted Lamar Jackson?
No, I think she wanted Mahomes at that pick. She ended up getting him in the second round. And, turns out, not knowing anything about fantasy football, she's in a way better position than your boy is in. Your boy is in a bit of trouble as she kicked my ass this week.
I try not to take too many I try not to I try to have different players on each team. Chris Godwin.
Okay.
Chris Godwin was the only one that I drafted in both my leagues, and so he's probably gonna end up on IR, which is great.
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
Almost certainly gonna work that way.
So
speaking of which, the bad news for the Ravens yesterday, the hope that they had for Kyle Fuller, not to be. He is out for the year, and that's it's a huge bummer for him. You know, this was such a cool story of a local kid comes home, gets to play for his hometown team, didn't get to play a game in Baltimore. And we'll see how this ends up playing out with his future in Baltimore and whether or not he sticks around. But obviously it's disappointing for the Ravens, and hopefully they get Marcus. I mean, you hope that Marcus Peters is back next week and all's good. But this is you're already treading in a troublesome way when it comes to your depth in the secondary. You knew after last year you had to be deeper in the secondary. So you go out, you add a Fuller, you make a couple draft picks. Tough spot to be in. You can't panic about it. Again, you hope that Marcus Peters is back and ready to go this week against the Dolphins. And if he is, you certainly still feel good about the first group of guys that you have to send out there. But the idea that you're keeping him healthy for the entirety of the next 16 games and into the playoffs, Seems unlikely. Seems unlikely. We will see how that goes. But, yeah, that was the bad news from John Harbaugh's press conference yesterday, is that the hope that he said he had after the game related to Kyle Fuller has dissipated. He is done for the year. And, they'll much like a tackle, it's totally possible the Ravens this week would add in a street free agent, but you know what you're getting at that point. I mean, that's the reality. You're not getting somebody off the street that's anything more than a street free agent. Remember, they played with a bunch of street free agents a year ago. They do have time. We are well away from the trade deadline, and, they will have the opportunity to regroup then and look at what might be out there. And once upon a time, look, they found Marcus Peters at the trade deadline for next to nothing. Worked out quite well for the Ravens at that point. And who knows if there might be something that becomes available again at the trade deadline. But there's no way around it. It's a gut punch for a team that went through so much injury-wise a year ago. And that so much of the talk coming into this season was in relation to they just needed to be healthier. And how many things they changed during the course of the offseason. I can tell you it's even more than maybe you know. Like, I'm not sure that everybody got to travel to New York this weekend. I know Marcus Peters did, but I'm not sure every other injured player got to travel with the team to New York this weekend. Like, they were hell-bent on doing things differently this year. They weren't treating it as just bad luck, don't worry about it too much. Internally, they were treating it as, we think we need to change things. We think we need to have different policies. We think we need to just do things differently in general. And for all of that, for all of our conversation about how it will be good to just not have to deal with such overwhelming injuries, and for one game into the season, for them to already have 2 season-ending injuries, it's a gut punch. There's no way around that. It's not the end of the world. These probably weren't going to be the two players. I mean, these two guys have combined to play 2 games ever for the Baltimore Ravens in Juwan James and Kyle Fuller. They were not the most critical parts of this roster. Now, you combine that with the fact that other guys weren't able to get back in time, and you're still waiting on some other guys, and you don't know what those guys are going to look like when they do get back. And, again, it starts to become daunting. You start to have not a suffocating feeling like you had a year ago, but you start to have that, like, body count feeling, that thing where you're like, oh, my God, how much do you have to deal with? And if Marcus Peters comes back and doesn't look quite right, and if J.K. Dobbins or Gus Edwards were to come back and not look quite right, or Bowser, or, Stanley being the biggest question mark of all of them, there is a totality picture here that is almost overwhelming. Again, pales in comparison to what they went through a year ago, but it's a lot. And it's a lot very early on. And you're just desperately trying to say to yourself, hey, could we get some good news for once? Please? Please? Have some good news? The other thing I wanted to cover really quickly, and then Michael Pierce is going to join us in just a second. A lot going around yesterday about the idea of the Cowboys trading for Tyler Huntley. It was a thing that I think the internet created. There was nothing about like the Cowboys being interested in Tyler Huntley or... the internet seemed to create this idea that the Cowboys should try to go after Tyler Huntley. One, apparently Dak Prescott's not even going to go on IR.
I know. I just saw they said like maybe 4 weeks. Like
right. There's this thought that perhaps it might not be as long as they initially they said 6 to 8 weeks. Now there's this chance that it could be as early as 4 weeks. So Dak Prescott's not going to go on IR. If the Cowboys for whatever reason wanted to call and offer something for Tyler Huntley, I'm all ears, man. Like I get that you want to hold on to a backup quarterback that you believe could get you serviceably through a game or two if necessary. Like, I understand the thought process that if you had to, for, again, a game, 2 games at most, play Tyler Huntley, you feel like you could get through those. I don't think they're going to, and I don't think it should be a priority necessarily for the Ravens to trade Tyler Huntley, but the world in which there's just no way. You can't do that. No, not a chance. Now, other people are sort of combining this question with the question about Lamar Jackson, which does play into the column that I wrote yesterday and the conversation that I'm having. There are other people that say, well, if you're not certain that you're ever going to bridge the gap with Lamar Jackson, and there is some world in which you would entertain trade scenarios with Lamar Jackson, if that's the case, then why would you be trading the guy that you would probably move into his job? My response to that would be, that's nuts. We can keep talking about how much we like Tyler Huntley or how much we think he's a great story or whatever it is, but the idea that you're identifying him as the guy that you're going to go win a Super Bowl with is, to this point, poppycock. Pardon my language. Wait, I like Tyler Huntley. I hate doing this because whenever you have this conversation, it feels like you're crapping on the guy. Don't mean to be so eloquent, sorry. And maybe I'll dumb it down a little bit. Tyler Huntley is a serviceable backup quarterback. And maybe we haven't seen some next level to Tyler Huntley's game where he could be a decent starting quarterback, a Tyrod Taylor-esque starting quarterback in the NFL. But the idea that in some scenario where you have decided you're never going to be able to get something done with Lamar Jackson and you're forced to move on from him and you're handing the keys of the kingdom to Tyler Huntley is crazy. In that scenario, which I pray does not play out, but in that scenario, you'd be drafting your next quarterback. That's how that works. You go identify someone that you believe you can win the Super Bowl with. That is a high-level NFL quarterback. And somebody might say, hey, nobody thought Lamar Jackson was that guy once upon a time. Maybe Tyler Huntley could be. Maybe. I mean, in the world, like in the maybe anything world, yeah, I guess nothing's impossible. But there is absolutely zero world in which you're thinking that right now. So if the Cowboys or another team that loses a quarterback this season wants to come along and offer you something of significance for Tyler Huntley, there's no world in which I'm saying no because he's going to be the quarterback if we trade Lamar Jackson. First of all, I don't want to think that way to begin with. My buddy AJ Francis, the former Terp, who you know is a top dollar now in WWE, he saw my column yesterday and kind of called me out because in the column I took a different my concept was not to say here's my opinion, but more to say, hey, I'm struggling with what's going to play out. If you read my column at PressBoxOnline.com, you understand it wasn't me saying, hey, you got to figure this out and go pay Lamar Jackson. The column was more about the totality of the situation. The column was more about, again, the enormity of what the Ravens are facing in regards to the Lamar Jackson contract situation. My column was, dude, I don't know what's going to happen here, and it's starting to make me concerned. I'm not defending anything. I'm literally just taking stock of the entire situation. AJ said, dude, what are you talking about? This is very simple. The Ravens need to give Lamar Jackson that deal. Now, again, AJ, being a former NFL player, would have a vested interest in seeing contracts be guaranteed. And so, to be clear, if there's any ambiguity about it, I think that ultimately if this comes down to either you have to give Lamar Jackson a fully guaranteed deal or you lose Lamar Jackson, there's no debate in my mind which one you should be doing. You should have Lamar Jackson. Where I will defend the Ravens, but only to a certain point, is that I understand why they're not in a rush to do that. The market didn't shift that way. If following Deshaun Watson, Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson had both gotten fully guaranteed deals, then it would be more shameful to me, and I would be more inclined to call out the Ravens and say, dude, there's no fight left to fight. The market went where it went. You know what it takes. You can't redetermine the market at this point. The market's been dictated to you. You understand what it costs for a quarterback. But that didn't happen. The next two quarterbacks, the last two before you would do a deal with Lamar, did not get fully guaranteed deals. So where I can defend the Ravens is they can say, look, we're trying to pay market value for our quarterback. We're not balking. We're not saying, we're not running away. This isn't about Lamar Jackson. We are looking at the market, and we are trying to pay market value. And again, if reports are to be believed, or if we're taking Lamar Jackson at his word that he told Diana Rossini, that the guarantees were in the neighborhood of $160 to $180 million, that's more. That's elevated from where the market had gone of late. With the exception, obviously, being for Deshaun Watson. So I can defend the Ravens to some extent to say that, hey, within the concept of negotiating, I can understand why you'd be dragging your feet. You feel like you've offered market value based on where the last couple of quarterbacks have gone. I absolutely can defend Lamar Jackson. If that's what he wants and he thinks he can get it somewhere, he has every right to pursue it. I can't tell Lamar Jackson what to do. No one else can. But that's what makes all of this so compelling. It's why my opinion about whether or not you should pay Lamar Jackson, I think, pales in comparison to the enormity of the situation. The enormity of the situation is, I don't know how this goes. I have no idea how this plays out. I truly have no clue what the next thing is. It might very well be that at some point, 2 more quarterback deals get done. They're not for the same amount of guaranteed money, and Lamar Jackson says to himself, all right, fine, I'll give up on fully guaranteed. Or it might very well be that his quarterback contracts escalate, and the Chargers in the LA market say, we got our guy, and look at how well he's playing, and they decide to give Justin Herbert more than $200 million of guaranteed money, whether it's fully guaranteed or not. And then all of a sudden, the Ravens, who maybe could have just paid a $200 million fully guaranteed contract to Lamar, suddenly are on the hook for more guaranteed money just to make sure it's not fully guaranteed. It's kind of crazy. I think that is fascinating. That's why I've been talking about that and writing about that, because that's fascinating. Apparently, La Canfora went on Fox Sports Radio last night and predicted the Ravens end up trading Lamar after the season. I know you're going to make your jokes here about Jason, and you're going to say he's gotten plenty of things wrong, and he's a Red Sox fan, and whatever it is that you're going to say. And I'm not trying to say that anything that Jason La Canfora says is Bible. I want to make that abundantly clear. And I get it. He has. He's been wrong-ish in the past. To be fair, some of the things that you say he's been wrong about, you're treating as though he was predicting the future versus he was reading the tea leaves in the moment. Like, a lot of people kill him over the fact that, he had said that at one point during Lamar's rookie season, things were pointing towards the Ravens parting ways with John Harbaugh. And if you want to hate me too, what I can tell you is Jason wasn't wrong at that point. The way that he worded it. It didn't happen that way because all of a sudden Lamar Jackson completely turned things around for the Ravens as a franchise. But at the point at which he reported it, I also had been given a little bit of information that suggested it was possible. Maybe I wouldn't have worded it the way that Jason did, but what I had been told was, hey, there's a weird feeling in the air. There's just a weird feeling about if this thing kind of falls apart, what happens moving forward. Jason didn't report anything. He went on did an interview last night on the radio. Somebody asked him for his opinion. He gave an opinion. So I'm not trying to treat it that way. But the reality is, when you're dealing with the circumstance that we're dealing with, that type of stuff is going to linger. There are going to be questions about that. I know Bo retweeted my column yesterday and sort of said the same thing. This is where we are. We're in a situation where this is what we're dealing with. The Ravens don't want to talk about it. The Ravens just want to go about their business and say, well, we're playing football and we're not concerned about this. But this exists. You can't ignore that. Now, is avoiding that awkwardness worth paying a fully guaranteed contract? I don't know. But it exists. And you have to deal with it. And it comes up when you're talking about things like, hey, maybe the Cowboys would be interested in Tyler Huntley, which, again, I have no reason to think that's the case, and even less of a reason to think that's the case now that we know that Dak Prescott's injury is not going to be quite as significant as originally thought, or that they don't think. And by the way, I never thought that it made sense for them. If they wanted to, I'm trying to think of what would have made sense for the Cowboys as far as the quarterback thing is concerned. I don't think there's a middle ground there. I don't think you can acquire someone, even if it had been 6 to 8 weeks, Dak Prescott was going to come back and play. So giving something up that's real
for like Jimmy G, like that's not.
You have to pay something for that. Like if you want to trade a 7th round pick for somebody's backup quarterback, like that's one thing.
Mason Rudolph,
sure, somebody like that. But to give up a real pick, to give up a middle round pick, a 3rd, 4th round pick, in order to get somebody who's going to play for, even at the time, what we thought was 6 to 8 weeks, that hasn't been in your system, that maybe doesn't know your offense. I mean, I guess they would try to find somebody that had some sort of connection.
Yeah. That's why it probably just makes more sense to stick with Cooper Rush.
Again, which doesn't sound pleasant. It doesn't sound like it's likely to work. And the argument being, well, you're going to watch your season end before it begins. That even if Dak Prescott can come back in 4 weeks, if you're 0-5 at that point, the season's over. You're doomed. You can't come out. I mean, maybe in the NFC East, although ironically, the NFC East went 3-1 this week. The Cowboys were the only team that lost in the NFC East. Go figure that. All right, we will keep trying to see if we can't figure out. Obviously, the schedules change during the course of the week, and Michael Pierce has been one of our better friends over the years, so I don't think he's giving us the middle finger. My guess is that something came up, and we will try again to get him. We do know that Roman Hemby from Maryland is going to join us, and we are going to preview Waiver Wire Wednesday with our buddy Joe Serpico from PressBox. That all is definitely, unquestionably on the way. Today's show is brought to you by the Maryland 5-Star. See Olympic athletes in action as the nation's best horses and riders compete in one of the world's premier equestrian events at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, October 13th through 16th in Cecil County. When we come back in, if we don't have Michael Pierce, there has been a couple things that I've been waiting to get into, so we'll catch up on some things that I've maybe not been able to get through the last couple weeks, including some of your reactions to my thoughts about the Orioles and some of the stuff that we had. I got a couple of really good – I got some good feedback after the conversation I had with Jeremy Kahn yesterday. So we'll get into a little bit of that. It's on the way. It's Glenn Clark Radio.
The Maryland Lottery presents Ravens' Greatest Plays. It was called the Mile High Miracle, a 70-yard touchdown pass against Denver with 30 seconds left to send the game into overtime. The Ravens eventually won, propelling them to the championship. Another great Ravens play belongs to Diane from Annapolis. Diane played Ravens Scratch-Offs and won season tickets for 20 years. You could be next. Play Ravens Scratch-Offs with instant prizes up to $100,000. And please play responsibly.
Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery? Located in Baltimore's Station North neighborhood, Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew mold with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. We'll see you at Guilford Hall Brewery.
That first sip. That first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
The 2022 baseball season is in full swing, and the future is brighter than ever for your Baltimore Orioles. I'm Paul Valley.
And I'm Zach Goodman.
And together we bring you the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon with everything you need to know about the Orioles and baseball as a whole. From veterans like Cedric Mullins, Austin Hayes, and Ryan Mountcastle,
to young stars like Adley Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez, and DL Hall.
We've got you covered for every game, every pitch,
and every debut.
You can watch us at youtube.com/PressBoxOnline and Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, or you can listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. So join us live on the Bat Around every Saturday from 10 a.m. to noon right here at PressBox Sports.
Come in for Glory Burgers, Glory Wings. There's glory for everyone at Glory Days Grill. Enjoy their award-winning burgers, ribs, and wings, or try the fresh salads, hand-cut salmon, or the scrumptious sandwiches. Yum! Come in for the daily specials every weekday, like $7.99 burgers on Mondays and $6.99 nachos on Thursdays. Dine in and let us serve you, or order online at glorydaysgrill.com and take it home. That's glorydaysgrill.com for a location near you. Glory Days Grill, great food, good sports.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
It's statistically proven that the show sounds better if you're not wearing pants. Like me. Right now. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Tuesday edition of the program. Hey, today's show is also brought to you by the Tyus Bowser Show. I mentioned that's where Rita and I were powwowing before the fantasy draft last week. Had a great time on the first one, and we're going to take this week off before returning next Tuesday night. We will be at Skipjack's in Middle River. Hope that you will come join us for the next Tyus Bowser Show. You can find out more by going to PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. Tyus Bowser Show is a partnership of PressBox and Grade 8's Memorabilia. It's brought to you by the all-new Ginsu Grill and Maryland Vascular Specialists. Next Tuesday night, September 20th, so not tonight, next Tuesday night, the 20th, we'll be at Skipjack's. We want you to come hang out with us. We want you to meet Tyus. We want you to meet his special guest. It's that simple. There's no catch until we tell you there is, unless we tell you there is. Right now, there's no catch. Every now and then, just because of who the guest is, sometimes we expect, astronomical crowds, and so we have to put certain rules into place, things along those lines. It's just kind of what it is. But, we are looking forward to the Tyus Bowser Show next Tuesday night. We will see you at Skipjack's in Middle River for that. Let me do a quick rant. It'll take 20 seconds. I'm just frustrated by it. I saw something over the weekend. There's an account on Twitter that a lot of us in the business use. It's a fake Rudy Martzke account, but it tells you who announcers are going to be for games ahead of time. And I couldn't help but notice over the course of the weekend that they announced, this account let us know who was working the Maryland game against SMU for FS1 on Saturday night. And it was a very weird bit because this account said that the broadcast crew for that game was going to be Eric Collins and Devin Gardner. Now, I don't know a lot about Eric Collins and Devin Gardner. I know Devin Gardner is the former Michigan quarterback. I mean, I do know that. But I don't know anything else about him as a broadcaster. I've since then been told that he does a pretty good job, that it's been working out for Devin Gardner as a broadcaster. immediately I noticed that the previous tweet that this account had sent out also said that Eric Collins and Devin Gardner were going to work the Texas State Baylor game for Fox Sports 1 at noon on Saturday as well. Which means that they're not at the game. The Maryland game, of course, is at Maryland. It's not a scenario where, like, hey, maybe if the game was at SMU, maybe they could travel between the two very quickly. No. Game's at Maryland. They're not traveling from Baylor to Maryland between a noon kickoff and a 7 o'clock kickoff. They're not going to the games. They're either at home or in a studio or wherever they are, and they're being asked to work multiple games on Saturday. And I have since confirmed that they are calling both games. And it's just so gross and so embarrassing and so pathetic and should be disqualifying for these networks for major college football. It should be the type of the thing that the conferences put into their broadcast deals. You're not going to pull this crap. And Eric Collins and Devin Gardner might do the greatest job in the history of humanity of calling a game off a television screen. There might be no duo that's ever called a game off a television screen better than Eric Collins and Devin Gardner do. And for a lot of people, it might very well be that you never really even notice when a game is happening and the broadcasters aren't there. I don't know. It's totally possible. This is major college football. This is Big Ten football. And you can make your jokes about Maryland, whatever you want to say. This one happens to be a particularly good matchup. One of the more significant games that Maryland will play this season. I get it. The Big Ten games are more important, but accepting that it's unlikely that they're going to beat some of those top Big Ten programs, this game could very well define Maryland's season. It is gross, pathetic, embarrassing, and shameful that these networks continue to pull this crap. There is no limit to the number of network-capable broadcasters that exist in every market, particularly a market like this. Wanting to cut costs and not travel your broadcasters is not necessary. The way you cut costs, don't fly them in. It's not hard. Pete Medhurst, my buddy, who calls Navy games, they're off this week. I know he works with Fox because he does games for Big Ten Network. Have him do the game. Pair any analyst that happens to live in the area. You don't have to travel anybody. You don't have to pay for hotels. You don't have to pay for flights. You don't have to pay for anything. There are broadcasters that live locally and can actually be at the game and feel what's going on and see things that are happening and don't have to be confused about the situations as they unfold because they're not there and they have no feel for it. It's pathetic. And this is not a shot at Devin Gardner or Eric Collins. I don't know those guys. They might be very good guys and even better broadcasters. And I hope they have a great call of the game. But this has to end. Has to end. This is Mickey Mouse crap. It's pathetic. Stop it. Have broadcasters at your games. We all know it's the better way of doing things because it's the thing that we've done for forever and it's worked. Rant over. Off my soapbox. All right, we're going to move some things around this morning. We're going to chat with Joe Serpico in just a second to preview Waiver Wire Wednesday. Just trying to see if we can't make things work out, that we could still get Michael Pierce in at some point before the show is over. Today's show is also brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma. It comes in A wide variety, a tremendous range of models and trim lines. You can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. So we're going to do it this way throughout the course of the season as we kind of revamped our fantasy football programming. It used to be that we would do the Thursday show, but a lot of times I'd be asking about guys that were no longer available on Thursdays because you had to get your claims in for them on Tuesdays. So we're going to do this with Joe Serpico every Tuesday throughout the season to preview Waiver Wire Wednesday. Who should you be targeting? How much, if fab should you be spending if you're in that type of league? Who should you be prioritizing using your waiver wire priority for? Who should you be just saying, no, wait, see if they're available tomorrow. If not, you'll be okay. That's what we want to know, and that's why Joe Serpico is going to join us every Tuesday this season on GCR. Joe, good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm all right. I appreciate you being flexible with us today as we try to move some things around. Joe, let me start with it. What do you make of Devin Duvernay? He catches 2 touchdowns. I don't think he's going to catch 2 touchdowns in every game, and it's not like he got an extraordinary amount of targets, but is it enough that you're saying, yeah, you might want to consider it?
He's not somebody that's high on my radar, to be fair. We know, especially us in Baltimore, we know that this is still going to be a run-first team. It was encouraging to see that they found a second receiver to get involved. But for the most part, you're going to be playing probably just 2 receivers. Well, a receiver and a tight end. One being Bateman, who was on the receiving end of a longer touchdown, and then Andrews, who is one of those guys you have to must start every week.
I agree with all that. I guess, again, going back to kind of the scenarios, would you say he's somebody that's worth taking a flyer on after you get through the waiver wire procedure?
Well, if it's after the fact and you're, one of those guys that's in a situation where you need a receiver, yeah, absolutely. He's somebody to take a flyer on. I wouldn't be necessarily wasting a waiver claim on him.
Yep.
If you can just, kind of pick him up after the fact, do that. Based on the type of league you're in, you kind of want to hold on to those waiver claims to some of the bigger names. I'm sure we're going to get in a couple of those in a minute. But no, Devin Duvernay is not one that I'm necessarily putting a waiver claim in. There's a couple other receivers that I kind of like a little bit more if they're still available.
Okay, so give me who is the priority for you as far as waiver wire receivers would be. Is it Julio Jones?
Julio Jones definitely is on that list. Jahan Dotson of the Commanders was somebody I was kind of a little bit bigger on than most people, and that he proved that he's going to be a number 2 receiver this year, so that's definitely somebody to keep an eye on. And then another one that I really like, we just mentioned Julio. Julio was one that I was kind of big on. I just think that it looked like him and Brady had some kind of rapport together. Those are definitely my top 2 as far as receivers go. And then if you really want to take
to be clear, you're saying those guys, Jahan Dotson, Julio Jones, worth putting a waiver claim in for?
I would say so, again, depending on how your situation looks like. Now, if you have an abundance of receivers, okay, maybe don't necessarily waste a waiver claim on them. But if you're looking for maybe a number 3, even a number 4, and then you're pretty stout at other positions, yes, I would be willing to go for those 2 guys, because I have a feeling, especially in this the case of Dotson, I think he's going to be heavily involved all season long.
He is Joe Serpico from PressBoxOnline.com. He's with us here on Glenn Clark Radio. Joe, I assume Darrell Henderson isn't available in most leagues. I would think he was somebody that was someone you would have wanted to draft, but obviously we had no idea what was going on with Cam Akers. What do you say to Cam Akers owners? And then if for some reason Darrell Henderson is out there, I assume you're racing to put a waiver claim on him, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Based on what we saw on Thursday night, I think that was honestly, there's probably more talk about that than anything else on social media. What happened to Cam Akers? And it was basically on a milk carton. Just because a lot of the talk going into the season, and most people drafted him probably, let's say, anywhere between rounds 3 through 5, so you're expecting him to be somebody you can almost plug and play every week. Now, was there some talk that Henderson might get some carries? Yeah, absolutely. But I don't think anybody saw the situation where he basically handled the majority of the carries. I believe in the first half, Cam Akers only had 2 carries for 0 yards. I think on the whole, he ended up with 5 for next to nothing in total yardage. So, yeah, at this point, it looks like it's Henderson's job. Now, What do you do with Akers? You still have to hold on to him. Maybe it's one of those circumstances he's just in the doghouse currently, or both were battling an injury heading into week 1, so maybe Henderson just happened to be the one that was just a little bit more healthy. So I would definitely make a claim out for Henderson if he's available for you, which I would highly doubt, but if he is available, obviously go for it. But in terms of Akers, you got to hold on to him and see how things play out in the next, let's say, 4 or 5 weeks.
I would assume that Jeff Wilson is also worthy of a waiver claim, particularly if you're an Eli Mitchell owner.
Absolutely. He's one guy that probably was not on your teams already based on the size of your league. He should be available. He would be my number 1 waiver claim this week. Him and the backup for Najee Harris, Jaylen Warren. Those would be my top 2 claims heading into this week. Just because of injuries. We knew it was going to rear its ugly head at some point. Didn't think it would come this quickly, but that's the nature of the business. And yes, absolutely, Jeff Wilson is your number 1 claim this week, especially if you're an Elijah Mitchell owner. When we have seen Wilson healthy, and that just seems to be almost a common thing when it comes to these 49ers running backs, they seem to last every, let's say, 3-4 weeks, and then it's a new guy that steps up and just becomes a fantasy relevant. So for the next couple of weeks, it'll be Jeff Wilson, and then if you do own Elijah Mitchell, put him on your IR spot if you have one, but definitely do not drop him. You want to hold on to him, see how things play out the second half of the season.
You mentioned a name in there. I guess the reporting now is that Najee Harris could still be good to go even for this Sunday. Are you still putting a waiver claim in for Jaylen Warren, or is that a mistake if Harris is going to be ready that quickly?
If you own Harris, save yourself and grab him just in case you do have to start him this weekend. But if you feel confident about your running back situation, I wouldn't put in a claim. He's another guy that, kind of see if he's still hanging around there after the fact, after waivers clear, and tab him up. But if you have Harris, you absolutely should be picking him up, just in case this is more of a long-term thing.
All right. I understand the idea. Plus, this goes back to the argument that you should have been handcuffing your top guys to begin with and making sure that you've got their backups. I'm never good at that myself. That's one of the biggest problems that I have. I'm going to throw a name out. My guy Griffin, he's all hot and bothered. Tell me about Greg Dortch. Is this – I can't imagine you're using a waiver priority claim. Like, I got to imagine that's more of like if you wake up tomorrow morning and he's available, you maybe take a flyer on him.
I agree absolutely with that. I think that's a name that kind of just definitely nobody was anticipating heading into this week, considering all the moves that were made at the receiver position. He was kind of the forgotten one there. So, no, I'm not wasting a waiver claim on him. I would just, again, he's probably the third, maybe fourth receiver on that team. He's not somebody, maybe just 1 week flyer. You're going to see those every year. Somebody comes off in the first couple of weeks. It becomes a household name, but then, he's fantasy relevant. Now, maybe he does have a good week too, if you could somehow package him for something to another guy, but I would definitely not be wasting a waiver claim on him.
If I remember correctly, Rondale Moore had a huge week to start the season a year ago for Arizona, and a lot of people picked him up only to sit around and never use him whatsoever for the rest of the year. Look, I'm all for. There are moves that I think I'm all for making on Wednesday, but just not putting in a claim in before that. Anybody else, Joe, that you look at and you say, hey, this is somebody maybe not for waiver wire, but if you get to Thursday and they're sitting out there and, you know how people are. I went 0 and I started the season 0-1 in all 3 of my leagues. And I become a tinkerer in those scenarios. I am obsessive. I've got to do something. I got to mix it up. Is there someone else that you look at and say, hey, again, not worth messing up your waiver priority or certainly not worth putting a bid in on if you're in an auction league. But, if they're sitting around there a little bit later in the week, maybe you monitor this guy.
I've got 2 for you. They both play for the same team. They're both New Orleans Saints. If you're one of those guys that's lost Dak Prescott for the next couple of weeks or however it might be because of his injury, I really like Jameis Winston. I think he kind of showed it this past week. He's got 3 receivers that are really good for him to throw the ball to. He's got an excellent running back, actually 2 if you want to throw in Mark Ingram as well. So Jameis Winston is the guy that if you need a quarterback, that's the guy that I'm kind of targeting. And if you are one of those guys that lost Dak, he is definitely worth a waiver claim in my eyes. The other one is we're going to see him play a little bit of quarterback, a little bit of receiver, a little bit tight end, and that's Taysom Hill. And I think not every week is he going to get you what he got this past week where he had that long rushing touchdown. You're not going to get that every single week from him, but just those couple, let's say, 6 weeks where he booms for you in ways that no other tight end is going to be able to do for you, just because of the fact he could get you a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown, even a passing touchdown. So some weeks he's going to win you weeks as well. So those are two guys that I'm really liking, again, both for the Saints. If you can, especially in the case of Hill, I wouldn't waste a waiver claim on him. But if you've got like one more spot on your bench that you can kind of have on a little flyer that can win you games every week, that's a guy I would be looking for.
All right. I certainly understand that, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Joe, what's coming this week at PressBoxOnline.com?
We've got the complete list of waiver wire pickups is coming today. We will have daily fantasy for the rest of the week, player rankings each and every week. Those will be updated throughout the week as well based on news of players that are in and out. And then around Thursday or Friday, one of those 2 days, we will have my sleeper picks, who to start, who to sit, and all of my NFL picks. So, yeah, just check it out on PressBox Online.
At Joe Serp is how you follow him on Twitter. He is Joe Serpico. Joe, appreciate you, buddy. We'll talk to you again next Tuesday, all right?
Absolutely. Anytime, guys.
Joe Serpico joining us here on GCR, PressBox Fantasy Football Analyst. All right, when we come back in, we are going to catch up with Roman Hemby, Maryland running back, Harford County native. If you missed it last night, Stan the Fan Charles, Ross Grimsley caught up with former Orioles GM Jim Duquette. You can find that right now, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline, or PressBoxOnline.com/video. Stan's going to do a recap show about the Maryland Cycling Classic coming up a little bit later on today as well. Terry Hasseltine is going to join him. It's Glenn Clark Radio. See Olympic athletes in action as the nation's best horses and riders compete in one of the world's premier equestrian events at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Academy, October 13th through 16th in Cecil County. Don't miss the breathtaking excitement of the dynamic cross-country competition or the elegance of dressage and precision of show jumping. There's also great shopping and activities, including a fresh food fest, corgi race, and a beer, wine, and spirits showcase. So come enjoy a beautiful fall day at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, October 13th through 16th. Learn more and buy tickets at maryland5star.us.
Come experience Maryland's #1 sportsbook this NFL season at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, the ultimate place for any sports enthusiast. Take advantage of our 24/7 kiosks, massive video screens, and watch all the action from the best seat in the house. With more money paid out than anyone around, make every moment more at the new FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, Maryland. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Please call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit mdgamblinghelp.org.
That first sip, that first bite. Start your day off right with a delicious breakfast at Royal Farms. Choose from a fantastic selection of fresh Royal Farms breakfast sandwiches and top it off with a rich hot cup of the freshest coffee in the world. At Royal Farms, breakfast is available day and night. It's the freshest breakfast in the world. Real fresh, real fast. Royal Farms.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Sports betting has come to Maryland, and we're ready to help you win some money. Tune in for Simply the Bets every Tuesday morning at 11:40. FanDuel Sportsbook GM Leon Twyman and VSiN's Aaron Oster join the guys every week to give you all of the info you need and offer you a few winners. And every other Thursday at 11:40, tune in for Weekend at Bookies as Andrew Stecca and Alloy Sports' Brad Kronthal help make you some money for the weekend. So come win some money with us on Simply the Bets every Tuesday and Weekend at Bookies every other Thursday. Brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland. Listen at PressBoxOnline.com/radio. Watch at YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
Have you been to Guilford Hall Brewery? Located in Baltimore's Station North neighborhood, Guilford Hall Brewery breaks the craft brew mold with their great handcrafted microbrews and amazing Bavarian-style food selections. Join Guilford Hall 7 days a week for Orioles, Ravens, and all of your favorite college games. Make plans now to watch the big games, play trivia, or bring your dog for Yappy Hour. They even have free valet service on Friday and Saturday nights. Go to guilfordhall.com for a complete schedule of events, beer listings, and food and drink specials. We'll see you at Guilford Hall Brewery.
The Maryland Lottery presents Ravens' Greatest Plays. 2021, the game on the line. With 3 seconds left, the Ravens connect on an impossibly long 66-yard field goal to beat Detroit, the longest field goal in history. Another great Ravens play belongs to Touchdown Joe from Silver Spring. Joe scratched a Raven scratch-off and won a top prize of $100,000. You could be next. Play Raven scratch-offs to win instant cash or enter to win great second-chance prizes. Please play responsibly.
Don't forget that full episodes of the show are available for free on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and YouTube. But warning, you get what you pay for. You're listening to Glenn Clark Radio.
Today's show also brought to you by Glory Days Grill, glorydaysgrill.com. I am so looking forward to getting to try the fall seasonal menu. If I had to guess, it's going to be themed, Oktoberfest related, because that's what they've done in the past in the fall. But I don't know that. I don't want to speak out of turn. I'm very excited about trying it. In the meantime, always the best wings, ribs, burgers, all available at your neighborhood Glory Days Grill. GloryDaysGrill.com is the website for you to get your order in. And we will once again be giving away a $25 gift card to Glory Days Grill tomorrow for Would You Rather Wednesday. All right, I set this up, but I didn't get to it. Got some feedback after the conversation that Jeremy Kahn and I had yesterday about kind of the demise of the Orioles' playoff hopes. And again, I get it. It's baseball. Crazy things can happen. Technically, you could say the Orioles still control their own destiny if they could just not lose another game to the Toronto Blue Jays and, frankly, not lose another game. They control their own destiny, right? It's not realistic. It's not practical. It's just not going to work out that way. Such is life. They're 6 games back of the Blue Jays, 6 in hand. So they could, and I actually don't know who would have the tiebreaker in that scenario, though I think it's the Orioles. If they win the next 6, I think they would have the tiebreaker in that scenario because there's not going to be a game 163 this season, which is so very, very, very stupid. I'll go through it. I got this message from Dave. Dave says, Glenn, enjoyed your conversation with Jeremy today as always. Here's what jumps out to me. I don't think that holding on to Trey Mancini and Jorge Lopez necessarily alone would have made the difference. I think the Orioles' offensive issues would have always ended up butting their ugly head at some point during the course of the season. And Lopez, I think we had already seen signs that maybe he was going to falter. I think the Orioles did the right thing by trying to get as much as they could for him when they did. Here's my issue in general. My issue is that at no point did they give themselves flexibility. I know you pointed out that we don't know if perhaps they attempted to acquire something at the deadline as well. I'm not looking for them to have gotten rid of top prospects or even low-level prospects in favor of guys that were rental contracts. But what drives me crazy is that they didn't try to get aggressive to go out and get players that can fit the bill for years to come. I know you had talked specifically about some of the pitchers that perhaps could have been available that could have made the difference. I know that wouldn't have been the difference when it comes to the lineup. My frustration is that they basically wrote this off and said this was nothing, and there is nothing promised about the next couple of years. It might very well be that in 4 years we look back and say that 2022 was actually their best chance to have some sort of special season. I hope that's not the case, and I have reason to believe that the Orioles are going to be competitive for some time to come. But nothing is a given. Everyone can get hurt at all times, and not taking advantage of it will always be shameful. That is not the way that a major league team should operate. That's aggressive, Dave. It's aggressive to say it's shameful. You know, that's aggressive. Let me follow up because I got a similar message from Chris. It was a little bit different. Chris says, Glenn, just wanted to chime in on what you were talking about with Jeremy. I, like Jeremy, was fine with what the Orioles did at the time, and I'm not going to change my mind about it. I do understand why Orioles fans have been frustrated about the fact that the offense never got going. To the Orioles' credit, they did call up Gunnar Henderson. They did do a couple of things in order to try to force the issue. It just never came about. I think the bigger problem that nobody really wants to talk about is the fact that Brandon Hyde continues to put together unthinkable types of lineups for day games after night games. I understand that Adley Rutschman wasn't going to be in the lineup for every game this season, but there have still been lineups that have been put out there that seem like they should be disqualifying for a manager. There's been an awful lot of criticism that's been thrown Brandon Hyde's way about the lineups. And I know on Sunday in particular, there was a lot of frustration after they had lost, after they had gotten beat down on Saturday night, to turn around and put a lineup that did not look good. And obviously making it worse, the Orioles didn't score a run. It was pathetic. I have said a few times that I think one of the problems is that Brandon Hyde has to deal with what he has. Look around. Who do you have faith in? Who do you trust? If the edict has come down from the top, Adley Rutschman's not going to play in a day game after a night game. Again, why you wouldn't DH him? You can have that conversation, but if the edict came down from the top, there's nothing Brandon Hyde could do about that. That I can't answer to. I don't know, but I get the frustration. I understand it. I just don't know that he's got a lot of choices. Let's switch gears. Maryland football off to a 2-0 start. They've got a huge game coming up Saturday night in College Park when they host high-powered SMU. Our next guest off to a really good start to the season. Of course, had a monster game against Buffalo. Was Big Ten Freshman of the Week. Caught a few balls as well this past week in Maryland's blowout win over Charlotte. Apparently, he's got a huge fan in Antonio Brown. Go figure. Joining us now, he is Maryland running back, Harford County native, Mr. Roman Hemby. He's with us on GCR. Roman, it's Glenn in Baltimore. It's great to chat with you, man. Thank you so much for taking the time for us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely, man. Dude, how exciting is it right now for you to be thrust into this role, to be given the opportunity that you've been given in an offense that looks pretty freaking spectacular so far?
It's really great. It feels like a dream come true, to stay home and be playing football at this high level. So I'm truly blessed.
I mean, let's go back to that. I remember talking to your brother a little while back and him saying, dude, you don't know how good Roman's going to be. Like, this guy is special. Why did you decide that you wanted to stay here? Why was it that Maryland was the right place for you?
It's a lot of contributing factors into it. It was mainly just staying home and trying to make a place home great. A lot of good players, they seek elsewhere, they go elsewhere to try to make other programs great. And, growing up being a Maryland fan, I thought it was just something that a lot of people take for granted, to go somewhere that's home and make it better and, just be close to family and have that feel all at the same time.
I mean, look, man, it sounds good to me. Did you grow up as it's tough being a Maryland fan, right? Because it's not like being an Alabama fan or being, a Clemson fan, something like that. Did you grow up really invested in Maryland football?
Not so much football. I was a Maryland fan. I used to come to the basketball games.
Sure.
That was a thing for me. So, I wasn't really big into college football growing up. And, before I could really start watching it and really taking it all in, my brother was playing college football. So I kind of jumped right into cheering for his team and things like that. But as soon as my time came up, it was like, I cheered for Maryland basketball. Maryland football is on the come up. So it was one of those things that felt like just a great fit.
I mean, so far so good, right? Like, so far it's working out all right for you. Roman, getting that opportunity, finding out that you were going to be the starter coming into the season, what did that mean to you so early on in your career? What do you think that you had done in order to make sure you earned that opportunity?
It meant a lot to me. Coming into this season, being my redshirt freshman year, I wasn't really, honed in on being a starter. That wasn't the end all be all for me. But, getting put into the position, it was one of those things where I took it and I tried to attack it and, make the best of the opportunity. So, it was big for me. being in the shoes that I'm in now. And I feel like the main thing that got me to where I am is just being a consistent football player and, eager to learn. I come to practice every day ready to work. And, I just pray that it transfers over on Saturdays. And it's been doing that for me so far. So I can hope that I, keep making it happen.
Roman Hemby is with us here on GCR. Of course, Hartford County native. John Carroll, alum, University of Maryland running back. Roman, how much confidence? Obviously, you were part of this thing a year ago during your true freshman season. You were part of the bowl game and a massive win over a longtime power program. How much confidence did you guys have coming into this year that you were ready to take a next step, not just as an offense, but as the entire team to be more competitive in the Big Ten?
I feel like we're very confident. Coach Locks came in at the offseason and told us that committing, being committed and being together and connected to one another was going to be one of the big things and a big focal point in us turning the corner. We had our first winning season in, some years around here, and we're looking to try to do even more this year. So I feel like outside of the X's and O's and things like that, just building a camaraderie with the boys that I have around me. And, we go out there and we play for one another. And I feel like that's kind of what's been seen on film so far. We go out there and we play selfless football, and I feel like that's what it takes to win in the Big Ten. So,
how much does it help to have such balance? Obviously, we point out you had this massive game in week 1. Week 2, of course, Leah was slinging the ball all over the place, right? He threw for 6 times. I mean, it was monstrous what Leah did on Saturday. How much does it help to know that this offense has balance, that you guys can do so many different things no matter who the opponent is in order to find success?
It feels great, really. We got a great offense. We have a lot of weapons, and it's kind of like a pick your poison type of deal. It's like if you try to gear to stop the run, the pass will get you. If you try to gear to stop the pass, the run will get you. So it's good to have that type of balance because, as we all know, as the season goes on and it progresses, it's like, some games the run game might be a little off or, blocking schemes aren't, they're not working the way that they did during the week. So we have enough balance to where I feel like we can go out there and whatever we need to do to win the game, we're able to do it. And that's a great feeling. I feel like it's good for everybody. The coaches are kind of taking more of a relaxed role because they know that we can get it done no matter what the circumstances are.
He is Roman Hemby. He's with us here on GCR. Roman, it's got to be weird. Maybe there's something I don't know, a relationship or something, but I think a lot of people are like, wow, Antonio Brown's tweeting about Roman Hemby. That's weird. Was it? Do you know Antonio? Is there a connection there, or are you just as surprised as everybody else? And what did that mean to you?
I think it's really just the little touchdown celebration thing. Me and one of my teammates, Ty Fell, and we did a little thing, and it's something that he actually came up with. So I feel like him in his days now, he's kind of on the lookout for things like that. So I think it might have caught his eye. I don't really have any formal relation to him or any friendship with him, but he definitely saw it. It kind of got out there. It had a lot of views on Twitter and Instagram and things like that. So it must have, fell into his lap and he took it into account. So it was definitely a great feeling to know that I, was seen by him and things like that. And, it was one of those things where it was kind of like took me by storm. I didn't even know that it really happened. Somebody had tagged me in it, and I was like, oh, I didn't even know this.
Right.
But yeah, it's cool. It was a cool feeling.
Right.
Cool feeling, definitely.
Hey, I don't want to be, disrespectful to all of the first 2 teams that you guys face because, it doesn't work that way. You face the teams that you face. But I think everybody knows, things kind of really gear up starting on Saturday night against an SMU team that's very capable of putting up lots and lots of points. What do you guys have to do differently now moving forward as you get to this portion of the schedule and exactly what's coming as you get into the throes of Big Ten play and week in, week out, you're facing some of the best teams in the country. How does this team still need to improve as you shift into this portion of the schedule?
I feel like, kind of like what Coach Locke says, we face nameless and faceless opponents. So I don't think there's going to be much of a change in how we prepare for this team and our bulk of our schedule getting into the, the thick of things. But I know for us personally, we want to just click on all 3 phases. We've had games where the offense felt like we did our job to the best of our potential, and it was times when the defense did the same thing as well as special teams. I feel like our next piece is going to be putting all 3 of those phases together. And I feel like once we can play complete games, with all 3 phases, week in and week out, we'll be definitely in the area of success.
I was going to say, do you feel like you're ready for it? Do you feel like you're ready for this step up in competition?
I feel like we're more than ready. We've been working for a long time, and I feel like it's time for our work to kind of pay off.
I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing it, man. I know that much. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Hey, take me back to growing up in Harford County, right? Like growing up in Edgewood. When did you know? Like, when did you say, "Hey, man, I got a chance to do something. I got a chance that, I might be able to accomplish something special"?
That's a funny question because this is one of those things where I didn't really think so personally until I got a little older, but a lot of people that I've seen in my circle and a lot of past coaches that I've had said that they've seen it in me from the jump. So, from my circumstances, from my point of view, I kind of figured that I had a potential to kind of do this, take it real far when I was, around the age of like 10, 11 years old. Once I kind of started to learn the game a little bit more and see, the things that I put into it and the things coming out of it. But if you ask like my parents or anything like that, they'll say that they felt that I was gifted since I was 4 years old when I first started playing. So it's definitely different coming from a lot of different angles. And I bet if you ask my brother, he'll definitely say something as well. And it's just funny, I kind of looked at him and my older brother growing up, and I kind of modeled my game off of them. And, now I'm here at 20 years old, just turned 20 years old, and, I'm looking at going out here Saturday night and playing, potentially one of the biggest games of my career up until this point.
That's pretty cool, man. It's a pretty cool. And obviously, I know there's a lot ahead of you. I understand. Like the goal is there's even bigger. But do you allow yourself a moment to reflect on that? Like, look, not every kid growing up in Edgewood gets these opportunities. Like, it's still, fairly rare. And I know you ended up at a place like John Carroll where more people have come through, and certainly there have been dudes from Harford. I mean, Aaron and E.J. Henderson stand out when I think about athletes from Harford County. That some guy people might have heard of named Cal Ripken, of course, came from Harford County once upon a time. But, do you reflect on that at all? Like, man, I'm getting opportunities that not every kid I grew up around was going to end up getting.
Yes, for sure. I feel like I'm truly blessed to be in this position, and I feel like I wouldn't be doing myself any justice if I wasn't, trying to give back and think about it. It's like I feel like self-reflection, is a big key point in moving forward. And my parents they stay on me about being humble, not forgetting where I came from and things like that. So it's something that I think about all the time because at a blink of an eye, this thing can be changing and things change fast. So I feel like I shouldn't take anything in my process for granted, and I should definitely give the blessings and give everything that I've gained from this game to God because, without him, I wouldn't even be in this position.
That's great stuff, man. That's awesome. It's so cool to hear you talk like that. Roman Hemby, you can follow him on Twitter. It's @R_Hemby, but replace the E with a 3, @R_H3MBY. Same thing on Instagram to give him a follow there. Roman, if you had come from Hawaii, we'd be rooting for you because you're a Terp now. But, it means even more to us up this way to see kids from this area succeed and to have made the decision that you did to try to do it at the University of Maryland. It's awesome to see the success you've already found. Go get them on Saturday night. Can't wait to be talking to you more as your career unfolds in College Park. Thank you for taking the time for us this morning.
Yes, sir. Thank you for finding the time for me.
That's Roman Hemby, Harford County native. Apologies, I know his phone was a little, glitchy there, but because it wasn't disconnecting, we just want to kind of work through it, and they only have so much time as these guys are working around their practice schedules down in College Park. So appreciate Roman Hemby taking the time for us here on a Tuesday morning. Maryland SMU, big one. I mean, it really is a big one on Saturday night. This is I don't want to overblow it, and I get it, the conference games are bigger than this, but there is some scenario where if they were to lose on Saturday night, it suddenly gets tricky for finding your way through to bowl eligibility. That's the difficulty of playing in the Big Ten, is you are not guaranteed to be able to find all those wins. Even if you're improving as a program, even if you're taking a step forward, even if things are, getting better, there is no guarantee that all of those wins are going to be there for you on the schedule. So Saturday night becomes kind of important for Maryland to make sure that you don't slip up in a home game, even against a quality non-conference opponent. I want to make that abundantly clear. This ain't another Charlotte or Buffalo. Like, SMU is legit, and they can score a ton of points. This could be tricky on Saturday night. There's no doubt about it. Now, MC Ernest came in. It's good to see you, pal. How are you? Ernest goes to work. Our guy Micah stopping in on a Tuesday. Did you prepare Young Utes by chance, or did you have one? No? Should have told you about that ahead of time. I think it's going to be better. You're not going to be here on Friday.
Mm-mm.
You've let me down, young man. You've let me down. What do you have to say for yourself? Now you have to sing. That's the way it goes. Now you have to prepare some sort of monologue. You have to do something else in order to make up for the fact that you didn't have the segment ready for this week. What do you have?
Oh, I don't know about all that.
You're going to have to dance. Let me see an interpretive dance. Let me see it. Let's do it right now. Okay, you know what? That's not nothing. I'll give you something.
There we go.
Would you be prepared to eat a pepper and mayonnaise sandwich?
Sounds delicious.
By the way, I had somebody ask Griffin how it came out. How do I say this politely? The other way.
The passing.
Yeah. How
I did a lot of burping. I don't.
Right. No, we
actually
know that.
Yeah.
We were here.
I felt the rest of the day.
Was there
I
a
did not
painful?
I actually have not. Maybe it's completely clogged up.
Wait, what? You haven't?
Yeah,
you haven't
I haven't
pooped since yesterday.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a bigger problem.
I know
dog.
it is. I know it is because I typically go pretty often.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think.
So
in the span of 24
maybe,
hours, you would have pooped. Wait, are you serious? You have
I know I have not. Which like just occurred to me that I haven't.
That's concerning for other reasons.
I know.
I've got concerns about your body in general.
But yeah, I felt terrible the rest of the day.
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand that. I do get it.
I ate around like 5 o'clock. I ate an apple. I felt phenomenal after that, which was like the first thing I ate since that. Because I just felt.
Did you eat
gross.
a normal dinner? Or?
I had a sub.
Okay, that's a dinner.
Yeah.
I mean, that like.
And
that,
then,
that
but then,
qualifies.
so that was good for a couple hours, and then once I like laid down, then I started.
Did you
heartburn
have? Was there
kinda
any
thing,
flatulence during the course of the day? Did you?
Yes, yeah,
and
a little bit.
And what was it? Any different?
It was mostly burping.
No. Again, the other way.
Yeah,
that's
like
the question
just not a ton. It was
It was as normal. Normally,
yes.
you sit around and fart all day, so
Yeah.
like it just wasn't all that different.
Yeah, it wasn't all
that
that
you spent
different
your Monday sitting around and farting. You're like, Glenn, that's most Mondays in my life.
How come on the way over we're talking to Roman Hemby and then I get here and it's just
fart radio?
Farts and
maybe
because do you know what Griffin did
radio.
yesterday? Did you pay attention to the show yesterday?
I missed it.
All right,
but
we
gotta
lock this up. All right, and the roles that you're gonna have here, MC Ernest, because you got to be cutting content. You got to at least be generally aware of what's been going on in the program. Griffin lost a side bet that we had on our picks contest last week. And it required him to consume a Richard Petty sandwich, which is just thick mayonnaise, thick black pepper, nothing else. And when I mean thick, I mean like with 4 C's. Like thick black pepper. I don't know if you saw the. Yeah, you really gotta. We got to work on this. It's part of the internship. You got to be more in tune.
I make eggs every morning for breakfast.
Yeah.
And so like I went to grab the salt and pepper, and I was like, don't need pepper.
Yeah,
I don't
probably not so much.
Today.
Probably not.
So today, yeah. So today I went without the pepper.
This is how much pepper was on his sandwich.
Wow.
Yeah,
it was awful.
Now
That's
all kind of.
Now you understand why it
yeah.
is that we're having this conversation about Griffin's bodily functions. Is because if you eat this much pepper on a sandwich, you're probably gonna have some struggles during the course of the day. It's probably going to end up playing out that way. But you're saying just a typical normal sit around farting on Monday situation for you.
Definitely the burping was
yes,
ridiculous.
that was violent.
It
was
ridiculous. Just how long I kept I was like, I mean, maybe I should just force myself to throw up.
How did it feel?
What like
was the burping? Yeah.
I mean, it
felt
relieving.
But it sounded violent. It sounded like it hurt. Like, you know when you hear...
It didn't hurt.
When you were a kid, you remember when you would hear your grandfather clear his throat and you were like, oh my God, what is going on there?
Yeah.
Like, you remember that?
Yeah.
That's what it felt like hearing you burp yesterday. Your burps
I think, right away.
Violent.
It was relieving, right away, but also still a little bit like, oh, I just felt Like you like you were talking about the conversation you had with Jeremy
By the way,
yesterday.
this is the video you're going to be cutting up later, Micah.
Sounds good.
This is
and I think I must have just like blacked out because I couldn't think of a single thing Jeremy said. Like while you were mentioning
because you
what
were
he
going
said
through
yesterday.
hell.
Yeah, because
you were just
I was
going
trying
through
to finish the
pure
sandwich,
hell, trying
and
to
I was
eat your
just
sandwich and with the pepper.
it
Peeling the curtain
is-
back after the show yesterday, Griffin asked me if we could run it back, and I said, "Well, dude, the sting's out of it.
Well,
we
we'll
can't,
think of a different.
We can't do the Richard Petty sandwich.
food
Well, these things come
punishment.
up. I get passed along these types of things all the time. Our buddy Brian Powell is one to do it. Others and like will pass along these types of things because they know all of the stunts that I've pulled over the years. So I regularly have someone pass along, hey, this thing that's trending. This is the problem that I have. I am never opposed to more bets. You know me. We're literally doing a show in a couple minutes called Simply the Bets. Like, I'm in favor of more betting. By the way, is it worth making one more phone call before the show's over? Is it worth at least, trying or
Yeah,
I don't
I'll
know.
try.
I don't know what the story is. You're going to have to tell me. I am always in favor of more betting in general. The problem is there has to be an element of creativity to it. There has to be something besides just doing the same thing because you're bitter that you went through such a hellish experience and I didn't have to go through said hellish experience. There has to be something else, something new, something fresh, some reason why it's relevant. This was relevant because it was getting some traction. I was doing Young Utes because MC Ernest decided he didn't need to do his job. I did Young Utes. I found out because, of course, the Young Utes are very in tune with Richard Petty, the NASCAR legend. They are always interested in what's going on with that guy. I found this thing that was floating around on the social medias, and I said, well, let's make some content out of it. It's the same way we did the beer straw thing. That was a thing people were talking about on the. So let's turn it into some content. If it's legitimate, if it's viable, if it's something that garners interest, if it's something that people are discussing in the world, and we can turn it into content on the show, I'm very much in favor of it.
Okay.
The bit where you're basically being Nathaniel Hackett, if we're being honest.
What? No way. I would never.
Nathaniel Hackett was really bad. You know what? Pete Carroll did something stupid last night, too. Pete Carroll was
he always
so
does
mad
stupid.
that Albert Agabawuga guy
Alberto
reached out and got the first down on the final drive for the Broncos.
Right.
And he shouldn't have. That he pissed away a timeout on a challenge that was, first of all, he was blatantly wrong. It was very clear on the extension that he did get the first down. But two, on top of that, even if it was close, we've been through this too many times in football, you're not winning spot challenge. Spot challenge has to be so far off in order for you to win it. It's impossible.
Yeah, there's more defense for what Pete Carroll did.
No, there's no defense.
Yeah, he's trying to have his team's back a little bit.
No.
There's
no.
Nathaniel Hackett was horrible.
No. We got to be careful about this.
Okay.
There's zero defense of what Pete Carroll
There's
did.
like a tenth of a defense.
No, there's
Yeah.
not.
I think there's a tenth of the defense.
This thing where you're like, well, if the players want you to do
Why
it,
am I
you gotta-
defending Pete Carroll now?
No, he pissed away a timeout. And if, in whatever bizarro world, that dude put that 64-yard kick through the uprights, he was going to feel awfully stupid about the fact that he had pissed away a timeout when he was going to get the ball back with 20 seconds left. It was insane what Pete Carroll did, and he did it simply out of frustration. There was no chance. He saw nothing. Nobody upstairs saw something that said, you know what?
Well, we don't know that for sure.
No, we know that because we all saw the same replays, Griffin. We all saw it immediately. The moment you saw the replay, it was abundantly clear the guy stretched out and got the first down. Secondarily, it was what we know throughout the history of football is that you don't win spot challenges. You're just pissing away timeouts for fun. So he did it because he was mad. He was mad. Stop. Wait. He was mad that they had given up a first down when they should have had him tackled, and they shouldn't have given up a first down. And because he was mad about it, coaches do this all the time. I'm mad that we didn't get the job done, so I want it reviewed. It makes no sense. You can't overturn something because you're mad. All you can do is piss away a timeout. Wait. I'll give you your moment. You are mad that you had to eat the sandwich and I got to sit back and laugh at you. I got to sit back and enjoy the content that you created by eating the sandwich. So you are now saying, well, let's run it back. Let's do something else. Because you gave up a first down to Albert Gaga, and now you want to throw a flag on the field.
Yeah,
doesn't work that way.
Just back to like the football sense of it. How's it different than like in the 8th inning, a baseball manager, just saying he wants a close play at first base reviewed?
Well, because it's not, you're not pissing away a timeout. The timeouts
you lose your challenge. I mean, whatever.
That's not a thing. That does not compare at all to losing a timeout in football. Losing a timeout in football can be what wins or loses.
Either way, Nathaniel Hackett was dumber.
No, stop.
We're running it back.
Stop. You're trying to move on from the fact that you were wrong about something because you don't acknowledge that you were wrong about it. You're doing what the young youths
when
do.
We're comparing Nathaniel Hackett and Pete Carroll's.
Hey, you're right. I was wrong. I'm sorry. It's okay to acknowledge that you're wrong every now and then.
Both were dumb decisions. I think Pete Carroll's has somewhat more sense.
There's no validity to what Pete Carroll did. You can't. You're
just throwing a dart trying to.
No, you're pissing away a timeout you might need.
Say for some reason the refs overturn that, then
no, they're not going to. My God, Griffin. Like, what are you going to do?
I also think it's like a 99% chance that
should they have thrown a flag about the field goal that they missed? Should they have said, "Hey, go look at it again. Maybe you'll see that we made it."
No, because
should they throw the flag over that?
It didn't go in.
And they didn't stop him short of the first down. We all saw that. We all got the replay, and we knew the dude stretched out and got to the first down marker. We could all see it.
Okay.
You pissed away a timeout for no reason. By the way, John Harbaugh does this sometimes. Every coach does that. The Ravens pissed away timeouts.
They
the first
won,
half on
so
Sunday.
they won.
Yes, it's okay. We don't beat them up over it. But by the way, the timeout they pissed away on the punt in the first half, inexcusable. Utterly inexcusable to piss away a timeout and punt and then let the Jets run all the clock out at the end of the first half. And instead of you getting the ball back with a chance to go score again in what might have been a close game, you had to take a knee because you got the ball back with 18 seconds or whatever it was. That type of stuff is pissing away timeouts. They are entirely too valuable.
That first quarter timeout, I couldn't believe.
Unthinkable. Unthinkable. As I said on the
it was like college football
on the post-game show. The way, if there is any scenario, if there's any look they show you where you don't run a play there, you have to make it abundantly clear going into that. You have to say to everyone, hey, there is a scenario by which we don't like the look and we're not going to run the play, so just look over here, and if we give you the kill sign, don't run the play, take the delay of game, and we'll punt.
I know, I was like, I thought they'd at least take a delay.
Inexcusable. Any scenario by which you piss away a timeout is inexcusable. There are times where you review something and the officials still somehow get it wrong. But there was that thing last night, there was no debate over. That dude reached out and got the first down. You're just mad that he did. You're mad that he did because you had him stopped on third down. And you should have gotten a third down stop. And because you're mad about that, because you're frustrated that you didn't make the tackle, you're pissing away. I keep saying the word piss, but you know what? It's no other way to say it. You're wasting it. You're tossing it in the garbage. Hey, just here's the gift of a timeout. Now, I think I've always thought it's stupid that the coaches have to officiate the games. I've never liked this system. The officials should officiate the games. The game should be stopped if there's a chance that you got the call wrong. The coaches shouldn't have to do it. But the system exists the way that it does, and you don't review something that it is blatantly obvious to everyone you're wrong about. You are Pete Carroll.
No.
You
never
are Nathaniel Hackett.
I would manage a game way better than Pete Carroll.
Screwing things up at the end and then calling your timeouts like a baby at the end of the game.
Yeah,
because,
that was my favorite use
oh
of
my
timeout.
God, what a
just
to
to let him
pathetic,
kneel it.
what
Everyone's
a child.
Just to show more shots.
Nathaniel Hackett
is.
What a child. Nathaniel Hackett is calling his timeouts at the end of the game so he can delay for 5 minutes, having to go in and answer questions about his insane decision-making. That's what you're doing there. I want you to know. Something happens, but you can't try to force it.
All right.
You can't go around this week and be like, well, have you heard of the cinnamon challenge? Like, you can't do that.
You heard of the ice bucket challenge?
Yeah, right? You're not, that's what you were setting up yesterday was the I'm mad because I lost.
Am I allowed to be mad?
And I'm trying to get it back.
I'm not allowed to be upset.
Nobody's saying you could be upset.
He's hurt.
But he is. But did you lose fair and square?
I did. I
accepted
my defeat.
I understand, but you were immediately trying to get it back.
Who can blame me for that? Who can blame me for that?
Let's run it back.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm telling you, in a scenario that makes sense, I am willing to run it back. But you...
Why? Are you scared? You don't want to you want to wait. You're scared.
Boy, this sounds like I know...
He's baiting you.
I know so many of this guy from college.
Double or nothing.
Josh Kellner was this guy. Oh, yeah? Well, you won't go play me right now. Right now.
Let's go run around the building. Let's see who's faster.
Oh, you don't know. My thumb was hurting that day. You have no idea. You won't go do it right now. Right now. Let's go do it right now. I've met you before. It's okay. You're not going to win them all. Some people aren't going to win any. It's totally possible that the Jacksonville Jaguars won't win any. You're not going to win them all. All right? This one, you took the L. It's okay. It's okay. The Jets look like a team that might legitimately go 0-17. How funny is it Robert Saleh in his press conference yesterday is like, I'm going to shove it down your throats when this thing gets turned around. Bro.
They got good skill positions.
I do like Garrett Wilson, 100%.
Yeah.
I like Garrett. I don't know what else.
Elijah Moore, Michael Carter, and
and
Breece Hall.
Would I take them? I guess, but
I do not like having Joe Flacco drop back 65 times.
No, I don't think that's great. I thought there was one special player on the football field, on the offense. I thought that was Garrett Wilson. I thought he was the extent of their special. I think
Quinn Williams looked good, yeah.
What's that?
Quinn Williams, he looked good on
but
the
he's
defense.
on the other side.
Yeah,
of the
no.
football. Yeah,
just saying,
that's what
they got
on
potential.
The offensive side of the ball. I think they have one special player and a bunch of guys that are football players, but not special. Garrett Wilson looks special, dude. That guy looks like he is a baller. Again, point of all of this being, when the moment comes, when something's out there relevant, pay attention. Be monitoring social media. Right. Text with MC Ernest. That can be one of his jobs too. Say, hey, dude, anything that
I need you to start a trend right now.
Is the Stevenson volleyball team doing anything crazy thing this year? Like any sort of eating thing? Everybody trying to do something? Find out. Once upon a time, kids my age, we were snorting pixie sticks. We should have all died. I, like an idiot one time in college, got drunk enough that I was snorting Old Bay. I ain't proud of it.
Wow.
That is Maryland.
I ain't proud of it, but I was trying to prove that I was the most Maryland person at the party.
If only the Old Bay vodka was out when you were in college.
The Old Bay vodka is nothing. It offers nothing to society. I don't know. I don't even know if you're old enough to drink, so maybe we shouldn't talk about this. Yeah, you would never find out. The Old Bay vodka, it does not need to exist. The Old Bay goldfish should be the only goldfish that exists because they're that perfect. They are that good. The moral of the story being, I have done dumb things, and I am willing to do I'm not going to snort Old Bay again. I want to make that abundantly clear. That was a one-time thing.
We'll see. We'll see this week after I beat you in our pick.
I proved.
Our pixie stick's still on the table.
Yeah. I'm not taking it off the table. My God, we did that on more than one occasion. That was a thing.
When I was in middle school, it was smoking Smarties. Did you ever do that?
Wait, what?
Smoking Smarties.
How would you smoke a Smartie?
You crush them up in the bag a little bit, and then you open a little hole in the bag and breathe it in, and we would be watching videos in science class, puffing Smartie clouds.
Well, I thought you were actually I thought somebody was putting it in there like vape or something like that. I was like, I got a lot of questions. I have
You're lighting the wrapper.
I will. As I said, I'll try anything once. Yeah, we did a lot of dumb things, but you gotta wait. Don't force it. Breathe it in. You're not gonna win them all.
Fine.
All right.
All right, double or nothing though.
Somebody's gotta eat 2 Richard Petty sandwiches next week. Somebody's got to eat a Richard Petty sandwich every day. God, I don't know if you should. Now that I think about it, maybe you shouldn't be hanging out at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel. I am worried about how you handle losses. And I've done some dumb things after I've had some betting losses. I've gone back up and made some reckless decisions over the years. You might need to settle down a little
for the sake of his digestive tract.
God. All of a sudden, Griffin's just doing shots of pepper like next week. Oh,
Is that what you want to do?
No. God, I am learning a new side of this is how he won a dodgeball championship. This is the mentality that carried him to it. Hey, today's show has also been brought to you by Guilford Hall Brewery. Such a cool place, and they got a big Oktoberfest party coming up on the 24th, noon to midnight. Free admission, but there are 2 different VIP ticket options available that you can purchase at guilfordhall.com. There's an all-you-can-drink beer ticket that costs you $30. Now, I am not a math major, but if you're going to a party from noon to midnight, I'm going to guess that you're probably going to drink more than $30 worth of beer. Just, again, it's been a while for me since I lived those days, but I think that number would be more like $300 in a 12-hour party. All you can eat and drink, and again, for 12 hours for $80. And I've had the food. The Bavarian menu at Guilford Hall Brewery is exceptional. 1611 Guilford Avenue in Station North. It's such a cool place, or true hidden gem in our city. And find out more at guilfordhall.com. Guilford Hall Brewery. Tidbit brought to you today by the print issue of PressBox. MC Ernest, hold that up for everybody. Show it off. Show me your hand modeling skills. Yeah, right. See if there might be a future in hand modeling for MC Ernest. Mark Andrews is on the cover. He's larger than life. Great story from Bo Smoka about his unlikely path to NFL stardom. Go pick that up right now at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find PressBox. Read it all, PressBoxOnline.com. Have you calmed down a little bit? Are you going to be all right?
Yeah. All right, I got one from Rudy Gerstein since we were talking Maryland football today. Carson Wentz and Taulia Tagovailoa, they both threw for 300 yards over this past weekend, which is a rare occurrence for both those local Washington teams. Not since September 2011 have the Washington and the Terps quarterback both thrown for 300 yards in the same weekend.
Okay,
that was Danny O'Brien and Rex Grossman were the last to do it.
Legends
for the Terps.
I mean, Danny O'Brien actually had a hell of a start to his Maryland career, and then when Ralph Friesen departed, it all came apart.
Now, of course, Mike Trout is playing unbelievable baseball.
Is it 7 straight games of the home run?
7 straight games.
It's nuts.
Going to try and tie the record.
I'm going to put this out there. I think that guy might be good one day. All right? Pay attention to him.
So yeah, he's currently at 7, tied with 5 other baseball players who have hit a home run in 7 consecutive games. Then he's trying to tie 3 guys that hit 8 home runs in 8 consecutive games. So, can you name how many? I want to see how many of those guys you can name.
I'm not sure I can.
So we'll start with the 8 guys. The guys who have hit 8. I think you should get You should get one of them.
Barry Bonds.
Not Barry Bonds.
Okay.
He hit 7. Only 7 consecutive games with a home run. Barry Bonds.
What a bum.
In 2004.
That guy sucked. But he's on the list.
He is. Yes.
I remember the only one I remember is Kendrys Morales oddly having a long streak. I don't remember.
Yes, he did, and you are correct. 2018, he hit 7.
Okay.
7 consecutive games with a home run for Kendrys Morales.
Other than this, I'd just be guessing great home run hitters of all time. Other than this,
there's one where God did it. That's right, he did it last year. I forgot he did it last year. Guy on with an NL Central team. Very older.
Votto?
Yep, Joey Votto.
I don't remember that at all.
I think it was August or July. Maybe he had an unbelievable stretch at the end of or at some point in the second half last year. But yeah, Joey Votto, 7 consecutive games. That was in 2021. I completely forgot about that. I'll give you one of the guys that hit 8. It was Dale Long in 1956.
Oh, MC Ernest was about to say Dale Long.
It was on the tip of my tongue.
He's been following Dale Long for years.
One of them is currently an active manager.
An active manager.
Yes.
Active manager.
That hit 8 games with that home run.
Jesus Christ. I got to think about who all the active managers are. Is Paul Molitor, is he still an active manager?
No.
Is Ventura still? No, he's out because it's old man LaRussa. Or it's not really because he died.
Yeah, Tony LaRussa. No, he's with NL East, managing an NL East team.
Mattingly?
Yep. Don Mattingly hit 8 home runs in 8 consecutive games.
I did not. I learned something.
In 1987.
I remember Jeff Manto once had like a 5-game streak for the Orioles.
There's an Orioles legend on this list.
Orioles legend on this list. You're saying that tongue in cheek.
Yeah,
it's not really. So Reggie Jackson.
Not Reggie Jackson.
Vlad Guerrero.
Not Vlad Guerrero.
Sammy Sosa.
Right, you're closer with Vlad Guerrero.
Because he's an outfielder?
At that same time when Vlad Guerrero was an Oriole.
Oh, Tomey.
Yep.
Jim Thome.
Jim Thome, 2002. 7.
So dumb. It was such a. I love Buck, but he is this blind spot for like always thinking of guys as what they were. Like he was so excited about them getting Vladimir Guerrero, as if Vladimir Guerrero was still Vladimir Guerrero at that point. Like he can't help himself. He has just such admiration for guys for when they were the best versions of themselves that like he truly believed he was getting Jim. He was so excited about Jim Thome. Could barely swing it back.
I'll give you the last 7 guy, the guy that did it 7 consecutive games.
Yeah,
Kevin Mensch. Kevin Mensch in 2006.
Sure, that was definitely my next guy.
Then the guy that hit number 8, Junior, Ken Griffey.
I probably would have gotten that eventually.
Yeah.
Probably would have gotten that.
1993, Ken Griffey Jr.
All right, very good.
So that is who Mike Trout is going for tonight.
All right.
Yeah.
We got to do Tubular. Tubular is brought to you today by the Maryland 5-star. See Olympic athletes in action as the nation's best horses and riders compete in one of the world's premier equestrian events at the Mars Maryland 5-Star at Fair Hill, presented by Brown Advisory, October 13th through 16th in Cecil County. Here's what's coming up totally tubular-wise. Masson 2 for the Orioles broadcast. Masson for the Nationals broadcast. At least they're not still doing the goofy bit where they try to combine them. 7 o'clock for O's Nats, Dean Kramer and Corey Abbott. MLB Network, Rays, Blue Jays at 1, Padres, Mariners at 9:30, TBS, Yankees, Red Sox at 7. UMBC Soccer's at Mount St. Mary's tonight at 7. You can see that on the Mount website. ESPN for Game 2 of the WNBA Finals, the Connecticut Sun and the Las Vegas Aces at 9. NBC Sports Washington, D.C. United Sporting Kansas City at 8:30. Champions League today, you can watch the Golazo show at 3 on CBS Sports Network, otherwise Paramount Plus for all the games, and the USA Network for WWE NXT tonight at 8. Some non-sports highlights.
I'm sure everyone was wondering where the Bachelorette was last night because Monday Night Football was on ABC. So that's
right.
That's on Tuesday nights now, moving forward, and that is pretty much America's Got Talent, part 1 of their finale. Other than that, Serena Williams is going to be on Jimmy Fallon.
I enjoy her work. I am a fan, but I wouldn't watch the Jimmy Fallon program. that I will pass on.
New episode of Pawn Stars.
I like watching her play tennis.
New episode of the Pawn Stars on History.
Okay, yeah. So nothing.
Nothing. The rest on.
Yeah. Right.
GlennClarkRadio.com.
Very good. All right. Thanks today to Roman Hemby. Thanks also to Joe Serpico. We'll get that up in the greatest hits section of the tab at GlennClarkRadio.com. Do we have anything tomorrow? Okay.
Not yet.
Yes. I know that answer. Stuff and things. I think Forrester said he's going to come in studio tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see. Who cares? It'd be better if he didn't. Let's just be honest about that. I'd prefer if he didn't. Thanks to Micah. Do you have a social thing? Do you have a
Micah.Ernest on Instagram?
There you go. Micah.Ernest on Instagram. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners. Glory Days Grill, Royal Farms, Costas Inn, Maryland Lottery, Guilford Hall Brewery, Great Eights Memorabilia, the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel, Maryland Vascular Specialist, the all-new Ginsu Grill, the Baltimore Orioles, your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Tuesday night. Go Birds. Sure, Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks, too. If you are with us on audio, do nothing. Just give us a minute. We'll be back. If you're with us on video, give us that same minute. Then go back to where you started. YouTube.com/PressBoxSports, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports. Is it YouTube? It's YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline.
Yes.
We gotta like write this up on the wall or something. Micah, are you a painter? Can you paint?
I'll get my dad to
All
paint.
right. That's not. What kind of millennial are you? You're not even a millennial. I think you're younger than that. All right. Have a great Tuesday night. Duke sucks. Ohio State sucks too. We'll see you next for Simply the Bets.